What's up, nerds? Welcome to a new episode of Banter Blitz with me. I'm Jan Gustafsson. I'm a chess grandmaster of chess. That is a lifetime title. They can never take it away from me, no matter how many pieces I blunder here. I'm not 100% that's true. I'm sure they can take your title away for cheating or, I don't know, maybe immoral behavior? Probably not immoral behavior. Anyway, the format of this show is you challenge me to a 3-minute game or a 5-minute game. I prefer 5-minute games. And we shall then play a game if you're a premium member. And I click on your challenge. While playing, I will give my deep thoughts on the game or on whatever TV show I'm watching or at which point I'm currently at with my midlife crisis. That's pretty much the range of topics that I have. So let's get started. Let me see if I have any challenges. Oh, I think I have to end my test game against Kevin first. Yep, before I can accept one of you people. Because I've been told that's the way I should address everybody from now on. Not that I agree, but you know, sometimes you don't have a choice in these matters. Why don't we start with Jambalaya? Probably we don't start with him normally, because it's the first time he's on this program. And because he's too strong and I don't like losing the first game, makes me all cranky, those kind of things. E4, e5, knight f3, I tend to defend this pawn when white can put the bishop here, or play d4 or knight c3. Those are the main options. Jambalaya goes for the Italian game. I believe he is from Italy. Therefore, I don't know if there's a correlation there. I normally play bishop c5 here. Knight f6 has a lot to be said for it as well. The problem is after knight f6, d3, you normally transpose while knight f6 does allow knight g5. So bishop c5, allowing the Evans gambit, which is not supposed to be super scary, tends to be a more suitable choice for most people. Here after c3, d3, black has tons of options. I used to play a6 followed by d6 on autopilot, but you gotta go with recent fashion. Recent fashion seems to be to try to play d5 in one go in these types of positions. Queen e2, Jambalaya showing that he's not interested in taking this pawn. I will go for a5, one idea being to push this bishop back further, another being that this bishop mine does get a retreat square on a7. And thirdly, if he goes a4, which he does, I thought maybe I can go bishop e6 and threaten de4 due to the undefended nature. Do you say undefended nature? Whatever you say. Of the bishop on b3. However, he goes knight bd2, and I have to admit I am not winning just yet. Which is sad. I like to be winning right out of the opening. But it looks like I have to execute a little patience. Both sides will get their pieces developed. h6 to stop knight g5 is kind of typical. Rook e8 never hurts to keep an eye on the e5 pawn, should white ever decide to take on d5. I have a bunch of more useful moves to make, queen d7 being one of them. I can probably put this rook here. And after queen d7, I'm always mildly tempted to start thinking about bishop takes h3 ideas. Looks like those scare Jambalaya enough to go ed5. Do I have to worry about knight d5, knight takes e5? I have a feeling I don't have to. Knight f4, probably, yeah, that looks fine. So if I go knight d5, he probably wants to go knight e4. But does that bother me? I don't think it unduly bothers me. Some tricks that probably should be calculated. I'm not going to, because I'm lazy, but a serious player should calculate bishop takes h6 here when f5 seems to be the right reply, because gh6, bishop takes d5. There's a bit of a check on f6 looming. So after bishop h6, I'm just gonna hope that I'll win material after f5 and be very, very angry and very, very sad if I don't. Pazos is wondering if Chess Grandmaster of Chess is the correct title. Yes, it is. Thanks for inquiring. Jambalaya goes bishop c4, probably a good move because his bishop on b3 was hanging. I guess I should try to expand a little bit. Why not? Grab some space while it's available. Do I have to go bishop f7? It's a bit of a sad move. Could also go queen d6, hinting at e4 ideas, te queen g3. But nah. Knight f4, does that already do something good? Bishop takes, pawn takes. Maybe that's good. Bishop e6, rook e6, knight f5, bishop c4. Yeah, looks decent. And once again, deep grandmasterly thought processes on display here. But yeah, I was hoping that after bishop f4, ef4, I would win material somehow. Knight takes e5 doesn't work because knight takes e2 is a check. And bishop takes e6. I'm gonna have to think and then probably just recapture with the rook. When once again bishop f4, ef4 doesn't quite work, so the queen would have to move. And then I hope I have something good. Whatever, knight d3, rook g6. Something's gonna give. Queen c2 looks like the obvious way to go. And I'm very tempted to go rook g6, but I can't really see a win after bishop f4, ef, knight h5 yet. And I would like to have that win available. So what else is there? Knight d3 is of course possible. Knight takes f5 and then something. No wins? I feel like I deserve to have a win here. But sometimes you don't get what you deserve. Life is tough like that. Can't always get what you want. I'm trying to calculate, but I'm a slow calculator. And often these calculating attempts just result in playing the first move that comes to mind after staring at the position for around 30 seconds. Maybe that was longer, yeah, it was 51 seconds. Knight takes f5 has to be done, and e4 is what I settle on, but I'm not very satisfied with this solution. I have a feeling there was more on the position. I just couldn't see it. It's a hard knock life. Maybe that's the definition of being washed up. You feel there's more on the position, but you just can't see it. So you say, whatever, let's do something. Still, my position looks alright. I expected knight d4 takes, and after takes, I can't take the pawn, but it doesn't feel like it should be top priority somehow. I'm gonna go here, threaten queen h3. See what Jambalaya does. Jambalaya so far playing very well tactically. He doesn't allow me any cheapos, which is sad and unfair. But I'll keep hanging in there, trying to find my way to Cheapoville. Rook f3, here we go again, with threats like queen takes h3, gh, rook h3, checkmate. Not so easy to parry. You can't take because of queen h3. King h2 runs into rook g2. So yeah, the going got a little tough there, because I had more attackers. This is checkmate. This I expertly anticipated. And I expertly Englishized that as well. Interesting game versus Jambalaya with a finale that pleased me more than him probably. Let's play maybe another game? Yeah, well maybe that's it for today. Already 9 minutes in. How about our friend from Canada? Mr. Amigo Alex. What do I do? d4, e4, c4, knight f3. Those are the best moves. b3, if you ask Richard Rapport, should be added to the list. I'll play d4. That's the move I grew up playing. Still feels most like home, even though knight f3 is a close second by now. Amigo Alex says, thank you, Jan. Thank you for what? For accepting his challenge. That's done on a very random basis. He says, this is awesome. He's way too happy. Like, he's way too confident. I want you to be trembling with fear, Amigo Alex. Not enjoy the moment. Like, this He's trying to prove my theory that all the best people are Canadians and Australians by being extra friendly. I don't want you to be friendly. I want you to be scared. He goes bishop b4. This is one of these moves that I never really looked at, but it's not obviously terrible, and some decent players actually do that. Amigo Alex, I believe, is watching the show or watching my stream as we're playing, which is normally a bad idea because you'll get into big time trouble if you're trying to listen to all my nonsense. And normally I don't say things too useful about the game. So in order to crush me, you probably want to switch off the video. But it is an option you have, even though I guess there's some, I don't know how this works, delay. Anyway, let's look at the position. The bishop is on b4. It's slightly offbeat there, but not obviously terrible. It even fights against one of white's plans to play e4. Typically, white will, or I will go queen c2, then a3, bishop somewhere, b4, expand a bit on the queen side, but this bishop can be retreated to c7 in many a line. So this setup with the bishop on b4, I even looked at it at some point and thought, okay, it's not as dumb as it looks. Still fairly dumb. But he goes bishop a5 voluntarily. Yeah, you know what, I'm too lazy to think about the implications. I'll still go a3 and b4. Bishop c7. I have a feeling Amigo Alex is sort of trying to pick up the ideas I'm mentioning. I'm not liking this one bit. And I'm going to start to have to focus a little bit. This structure, white is normally a bit better if black cannot go for c5 super quickly. Bishop g5 is coming. And it will force some weaknesses on the queen side. And that's what I was expecting. I don't know. It said opponent disconnected. I thought Amigo Alex got all caught up there. Rook e8. Do I go bishop g5, bishop h4? Looks like the obvious thing to do. Yeah, why not? Bishop f4. What does he want to do? Does he want g5? I don't know. But I should not worry about Alex's problems. I still have useful moves to make. Rook d1, rook e1. See how black wants to solve these issues. He's allowing me to take on f6, which is intriguing. Do I take? I think I'll take. It's not always clear if this bishop f6 gf favors white, but here I thought this bishop was also a little loose, and I can go c5, making things a little tougher for this bishop to develop. After e5, let me think. g3, bishop g4 is not that clear. Or is it? Bishop e2, bishop g5, h4. Let's find out. Celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. So the line I was talking about, if bishop g5 will go h4 and this bishop doesn't have a lot of squares. So bishop g4 is what I'm expecting. Then bishop to e2 to renew my threat. And I could not see how to save this bishop. He goes e4, but I can just take, right? Where is the trick? f5. He's trying to give me a bunch of pawns to free this bishop. That's legal, but a bunch of pawns is my favorite dish in the world. After lasagna. I do enjoy lasagna. I haven't had any lasagna for a while. So now we're 2 pawns up, and by we, I mean me, which should get the job done. My king is also much better than the black king. Therefore, things are looking alright. But you know what they say. The toughest thing in the world is to win a won position. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's way tougher to win a lost position or a drawn position than a won position. But I guess that's one of these dumb sayings that they have to make it clear to everybody that even though you know you're winning, you should still continue to make chess moves and not expect the game to be over automatically. Something along these lines. I don't really know. Having said all that, And Amigo Alex says, give me a few pawns back to make it fair. I'm very sorry, we have a very strict no pawns back policy on this program, so that is not going to happen. I do enjoy taking pawns. I do enjoy taking them a lot more than giving them. Just as in real life. As they say, taking is always better than giving. Amigo Alex, opponent disconnected, 5 seconds to win. I will win this position, but he's still chatting to me, so I don't really know what's going on there. Sorry for that abrupt end, but it's not a very pleasant position to play 2 pawns down, weak king. It's resignable, to be fair. Thanks for the game, Amigo Alex. Wow, a lot of strong new people around here. An international chess master of chess. J10 Reborn from Australia. Let's see if he lets me win and therefore confirms my theory that Australians and Canadians are all the best people. Because if he crushes me, I'll be upset. J10, Justin 10, isn't that one of these young talents? I remember David Smurden was praising him in one of these World Juniors, I believe. He plays the Jocko piano. How can you play the Jocko piano if you're a young talent? What are you gonna do when you're like 100? This is very upsetting already, J10 Reborn. Play some sharp opening, not this boring, slow burn of an opening. Anyway, everybody and their dog plays this stuff nowadays. It is all the rage, even with the cool kids, because people are a little tired of what I like to call, and everybody else likes to call, the Berlin Wall, even though no one really plays the Berlin Wall of the 2750 plus guys, except for the 2750 plus guys. But the fashion, of course, trickles down. And Italian as trendy as ever. Rook e1, I'm slightly tempted to go g5 and g4. But that's probably not a great idea. I'll remove this bishop first. After c3, yeah, we get your normal dullish Italian position. Can I go g5, g4? It's tempting, but it's so not my style. Nah, I'll play boring. Yeah, we get all the good stuff. Knight c2. Bishop e6 takes. Bishop e3. White is hoping for a tiny, tiny advantage. Maybe. Even within reason to hope so. This has been discussed quite a bit at the highest level. It's reasonably boring. That's the main problem that people have with it. From both sides. But it's not unfathomable. Is that a word? I'm not so sure. It's not unheard of that white could be a tiny bit better here. I always need to spend a tempo to get this dumb rook back on track. And at some point, white will probably go d4 and might have a small advantage. Actually, this position you probably go d4. Knight f5. Yeah, I should focus. This is a strong chess player. You normally don't want to deal with a knight sitting in your face on f5 for all that long. So I'm offering to exchange. What is this? You want to repeat moves? This is what you came here for? I'm not so sure he really wants to repeat moves, but I'll make an empty fighting gesture and play queen d7 first, just to avoid the move repetition. Queen b3. I think I learned from a game I played and lost to Livio Niter Di Cipriano that it's normally a mistake to go c6 in these structures, and that it's a bit safer to put this pawn on b6. This position is a little easier to play than the one with c6, because d6 could be weak in the long run. Blah, blah, blah. Boring position, boring game so far. The main thing is to keep an eye on not allowing white to go d4 here. So I'll put a bunch of rooks on this file. He goes knight c4. That means the knight can no longer jump to f5, which means I should resume my kingside operations maybe. H4. Interesting. I'll pretend to want to play f5, but I think I got a little carried away here and I actually allowed him to play d4. I'm not sure I'm in time to play f5. Yeah, that was really, really dumb. What to do? Put all my pieces on insane squares? Is that the way to do this? Nah, I don't think I'm in time for f5 action. Rook a8 de would be bad news. Ay. That was so unnecessary. Nah, I've allowed the one thing you're not supposed to allow in these positions. Let white get d4 and yeah, put my knights on really bad squares. So now I must suffer. Because yeah, this is the ideal thing for white to get. His knight can jump into f5 and you can put some pressure on the black construction, especially with my knight ridiculously being placed on h7. But whining phase is over. I should focus on sticking around here. Is e5 a threat? Probably kind of a threat. Good news is I'm also way down on the clock. But more good news. Pawns are still equal. As long as pawns are equal, there is always a chance. Is that a fair rule of thumb? Not so sure. This knight on h7 doesn't seem to be contributing greatly to my cause. So maybe it's time for it to jump back into the action. I think my position is actually not that terrible. I have some d5 ideas. We'll find out. What can he do? e4 is hanging a little bit in some lines. Yeah, that's a word. All of those were words, but like the way they were put together, I'm not sure they made sense. But yeah, d5 does seem to be a bit of a threat, which white would have to address. Queen d3, can I go d5? Knight d2, de. I can also take on a4. I'm a bit confused. What do you want? Yeah, I didn't really see the follow-up in spite of my long think break. So slow. Yeah, I'm not sure I've handled this very, very well. Someone's doing a tour of the office here. I'm sitting here in time travel, struggling, and then they're showing, oh, this is another studio. Yeah, here we have a chess grandmaster streaming some chess games. Beautiful. All right, this was bad. Did I blunder 97? Kind of. Oh, I blundered rook e8. I'm gonna blame it all on the office tour, as I tend to when I play badly and need an excuse. Oh boy. Yep, I'm gonna lose that one. Well played by Justin 10 Reborn. Once again, I blame the office tour. I had a good position when they came in. What are you guys doing? We need an on-air sign. And I need a resign button, which I don't have. I actually do have it. I'm just a lousy loser. But yeah, there's no chance here. Good game, J10 Reborn. And I don't know where it all went wrong. Here after, somewhere around here. I'm in very decent shape and I just could not find... maybe there is no way to be better. Nah, here I'm never better because my knight on g6 is dumb. Maybe I overestimated my chances. Maybe white is still perfectly fine here. Look good. Maybe move like... this might be a good move. Queen e6 to play around with c5 ideas. Not sure. Anyway, good game by I am J10 Reborn, crushing me. On my own show. Very sad. All my anger will be directed at Olaf146. Let's see if that will restore my mood. Probably it won't. Still annoyed by the office tour and annoyed by my own play. Olaf146 has a snowman as his avatar? What does that stand for? Is that like... is that a Frozen reference? Let me look that up. Did they have a snowman in Frozen? Frozen Olaf. Yeah, I was right. Frozen Olaf and Sven. Funny moment. So you decided to base your online persona on a snowman from a kid's cartoon. Just so I get that right. Olaf146. Alright. Whatever works for you. I'm playing the Semislav here. dc4 is the Vienna, which I made a video series about. Bishop b4 is another highly popular move these days. Olaf146 in this position goes for cd, ed, bishop g5, which is extremely solid, but not very critical, because in this move order, black can get his bishop out and equalize pretty much instantly. It is kind of boring, once again, but maybe I should not complain about all these boring opening positions I get when all I do is play boring lines. Maybe there is a bit of a causality there. Is that a word? Not sure. Knight a4. Is that what the cool kids do here? I'm never sure about this a5, a4 move. It has pros and cons. It could be a weakness. Some point down the stretch. Someone with chess culture would instantly know if that's a good or a bad idea. But I normally do it and then I curse myself for it later. I have a feeling I've played this exact same game like a couple times. Maybe not too tempy up after knight a4, knight c3, but this looks reasonably familiar. Hard to believe black is worse with his knight on c4, but it still will take some work to make something happen. I'm wondering, once again, things that chess culture people would not need to spend as much time on. But I'm struggling with these things. If b5, weakening c6, but stabilizing this pawn chain is good or bad. In general, black wants to focus on the queen side in such structures. Queen g5, h5, g6, rook d6. The game that impressed me the most and that made me believe that black can just win such positions is an old game, I think, Nikolic against Kramnik, where Kramnik just crushed Nikolic from the structure, a very simplified position as well. So check that game out. I believe it's a great guide to how to handle these simplified structures with black. b3 trying to make something happen here. Now I could switch plans and go rook a8 and go after the a pawn. But it's a little dull. I'll play more aggressively, go h5, h4, and try to decide the game on the king side. Tricks. Feels a bit sad to give this very powerful, proud knight's life for just a measly fork on f3. But I'm normally willing to sell out very quickly for material gains. This is not an exception. f4 I could have won with queen. Knight takes b3 and taking on c1, but nothing wrong keeping queens. Knight f3 is very hard to stop because the knight on e2 does not allow the white queen access to the f3 square. f5. This is like an early computer program. Trying to avoid the inevitable by making Zwischenzugs after Zwischenzugs. But one day or another, this will happen. Looking for an elegant way to get the job done, but not quite there. If in doubt, grab more material, pre-move gf6. Or win on time. Thanks for the game. Olav 146. Yeah, not a great game, but kind of typical for these structures where things can go wrong for white more easily than one might think. Let's play our boy, Javier Bosch. I should stop saying that. It's a Lawrence Trent thing that mildly annoyed me, just mildly. He calls everybody your boy or his boy nowadays. I should stop doing that. Javier Bosch Calvo. I've never heard of Javier from Spain, and this is the first time we play. Time for the Caro-Can. That's about as aggressive an opening as I can play. Three e5, the most critical move, grabbing space. Bishop f5 is what I normally do here. But for this special occasion, our game against Javier Bosch Calvo, I'll go with c5. More aggressive choice after dc5, knight c6. The game becomes very complicated. c3 is less principled because now black gets his ideal setup sort of to put this knight on c6, putting pressure on d4, while this bishop can still develop outside of the pawn chain as indicated by my move bishop f5. And we get a nice version of whatever, some advanced French is probably the closest comparison, where this bishop would be locked in on c8 because black already played e6 on move 1. Still, nothing too bad has happened yet to white. It's fully playable, he still does have more space. But here, yeah, it does make a big difference that my bishop is out of the cage. Knight bd2 blunders a pawn, right? I like pawns. I do like them greatly. Greatly? A lot? I don't know. Time to get some pieces out. Bishop c5, castles. Typically, or often in these structures, you go h5, h4, and you try to get in some knight f5, knight g3 mates. And you might as well do that, even though I believe the best move is castles. This is a way to ask Javier Bosch Calvo some more direct questions. Now I'm threatening the devious queen takes g5, f takes g, knight g3, followed by checkmate. So I hope he misses that. Let's be honest here, Javier. I do hope that you let me get away with it. This is a check, but I will keep my threat alive for another move. No queen d7. I hope this works, else I look kind of stupid. But this was the big plan all along. Pattern recognition. Sometimes the patterns I recognize are slightly fraught though. It's not even mate here after queen g3. I just really wanted to get my idea in. Did I say fraud? Flawed is what I meant. No fraud involved. Now I have to win this game all over again just because of my great idea here. Very sad. What's the pawn count? Am I even material up? Not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I'm not even material up. That's shocking news, ladies and gentlemen. So I will hand the game over to my expert rook endgame technique to get the job done. Oh boy. That's what you get for showing off your knight f5, knight g3 skills. Hang on, I should probably... I never know what to do in rook endgames. Rook e2 is what I would like to play, and then rook a3, a5, rook b3. The game kind of continues, I guess. I don't want the game to continue. Let's be done with this game, Javier. Stop playing so well. You're 1441. Know your place. Doesn't seem like he's willing to. Maybe he's watching the show and he's getting all my expert ideas. Nah, that would probably not be a big help. Yeah, he's playing sort of perfectly. And we're both running a bit short on time, so I'm gonna have to do what I do best. Flexville in the house. Flexville, Illinois. Maybe pre-moving king c5 is also a bit risky. Oh boy, this might end very badly. Well, I'll probably win on time though. And is there anything more beautiful than winning a chess game on time? Some people say mating is nicer. I personally prefer winning on time because it gives you a sense of having overachieved in that game. You didn't win on the board, but you nevertheless managed to push the game over the finish line, and it's one of the sweetest feelings in the world. So flagging, it's beautiful. It's why we all started playing chess, thinking one day I'll be good enough that I can flag people constantly, and the warm, cuddly feeling that will give me will be worth all the sacrifice, all the lonely hours at home when all the other kids were partying. That's not really true. The other kids didn't party either. They were all nerds. Antonio Luis Ferreira 1 is probably... We can't even see his whole name. It's probably... What was I gonna say? I was gonna say it's probably his real name, except for the 1, because Antonio Luis Ferreira does strike me as a reasonably popular name in Portugal. So probably when he signed up with his Facebook account, he could not get the Antonio Luis Ferreira thing, so he had to go for Antonio Luis Ferreira 1. And then when he signed up on Chess24 using his Facebook account, it just got transported here and the 1 stuck with him. I'm not sure if that theory holds any water, but it's what I'm going with. I am playing the Italian against anything. It's a thing some lazy people like to do. I'll play the Gioco Piano. I'll go bishop c4, d3, c3, castle, rook e1, bishop b3, knight bd2, d4 against anything. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan. What's the position we have on board here? I'll just play all my standard moves. I probably should play d4 already. But I mentioned I'm going to go the Gioco Piano, no matter what you do. And this is not as dumb as it looks, because if black goes d5, white goes e5 and d4, and typically gets a good French. While other pawn breaks aren't so easily manufactured for black, and once white made all the moves he wants to make, he will go d3, d4, getting a bit of an edge in the center. Knight e5 is actually a good countermeasure. Maybe I should have mentioned or thought about it. Had I thought about it, I probably would have mentioned it. Because after the move I would like to play knight somewhere, knight h2, c4 is a bit of a nuisance. So well played by Antonio Luis Ferreira the first. I have to go d4, but these positions lose a lot of their appeal if you had to exchange one pair of knights in this case. Yeah, we're getting the structure I mentioned as good for white earlier, but here things are a little different because after e5 the knight can jump into e4, and also we've exchanged one pair of minor pieces, which, as I mentioned, does favor black. Because, yeah, imagine he had a knight on c6 or on d7. Then my kingside attack would be much faster, I would have more pieces, and these knights would be sort of spectators. Well, here things really aren't that clear. So Antonio Luis Ferreira has played well thus far, and I have to think how I want to handle this. I still like my chances slightly better because his bishop is a bit passive on a6. And after knight g3, queen g3, even though the position is simplified, I would still have some hopes to make something happen on the king side. We'll see. I would probably go cd, cd, and then have a look around. I don't know. Maybe play bishop a6. Maybe bishop b4 could be a bit of a nuisance. Not sure what he's gonna come up with, but so far so good. He plays king h8, useful waiting move. I'll do the same thing, or I hope it's the same thing. Play rook 81, just overprotecting the d4 pawn. Knight g3, I guess still queen takes. King h8 is useful because now there's no longer a threat of bishop h6. Goes queen d7, what does he want? Does he want to play f6? Not sure you want that. Rook e3 seems natural, right? Talking to myself here, if he goes f6, takes. At least I then can potentially put a rook on e1 and keep the pressure up. Have to go here first because d4 is hanging. Yeah, nothing special, slightly better. Normal-ish game so far. cd, how do I recapture? Probably bishop. Not sure about this either. cd also had a lot to be said for it. But since black can't go e5, I thought bishop takes might be a better choice. And now just keep the blockade on the dark squares going. Well, if black can't challenge me in the center, then I'll go rook d4, bishop c2, and hopefully something is going to happen on the, what do we call this? The king side. Bishop e5, rook e5, f2 is covered. No big deal. I'm sure positions like that you get in some boring textbooks. No, in some excellent strategic manuals where they are telling you dark square blockade, important, and then you can do something active later. I believe that's probably phrased more elegantly in those strategic manuals, but you get the idea. Now can I do something active, like some rook h4 maybe? Why not? Point is h7 is hanging. If he goes h6, I have bishop g6, and if he goes g6, I'm gonna think long and hard about bishop takes g6. Well, here I probably won't think very long, but just do it. An exchange is an exchange. You know, many ways to roam once again. I'll keep it simple, avoid bishop d3 so this bishop can't enter the game. And continue building my position. It's completely winning, but as always, you still have to win it. Handle with a bit of care. Endgame. That's not the greatest of challenges because I instantly pick up the center. But the position was completely hopeless anyway, as I mentioned. So it doesn't really matter. And Antonio Luis Ferreira the first does resign. Let's play somebody else. How about Mr. Putro from France. 3-minute. Oh, I dislike 3-minute challenges by strong players because it doesn't give me a lot of time to talk about the game. It's so little time that you kind of have to make moves instead of just rambling on about nonsense. And what do we have here? We have the good old Slav. DC, A4, Bishop F5, E3. 95 is the other main line, but E3 is one of these moves that never go out of fashion. Queen E2 or Knight H4 are kind of equally popular here. And looks like Knight H4 threw Putro a bit off guard. Queen E2, arguably more popular. Queen E2, E4. Here, Bishop G4. No, I'm out of book. Do I go F3, G4? I wish I knew stuff. Celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Can I go G4? By the way, I'm not referring to myself as a celebrity when I say that. It's a very weird BoJack Horseman quote that's stuck in my head. E4, Knight E4 could be a nuisance. I'll just take. I should try not to get checkmated on H2. New challenge for myself. Avoid getting checkmated on H2. But after castles, at least my chances of getting checkmated on H2 did go down a little bit. Still possible, but it became a little less likely. Big champion of the pre-move, Mr. Putro. White has the two bishops. As mentioned, with a 3-minute game against a strong opponent, it's hard to spend too much time explaining. But I hope that I can get my pawns rolling, which would pronounce this advantage. What black typically wants is to exchange bishops here with bishop c5. That's why he played queen e7. Good move. Trying to simplify things a little bit. And yeah, it's actually a really good move. I might not be in time for all my cruel intentions. Wouldn't that be a pity? Bishop c5 still possible when I'm planning to go queen c1, but I think I've bungled this a little bit, and black is now alright. Rook d8, of course, also possible. Goes knight h5 immediately. I'll follow up with my intended f4. Once again, bishop c5 should be played, in my opinion. Goes rook d8. Where did I put my queen? Here? Or on another square? Queen c2, there's still bishop c5. Queen c1, there's bishop d3. Ugh, annoying. Bad move, queen b3. I couldn't decide between queen c1 and queen e1, so I randomly chose another square, which has nothing to do with anything. Not something you should do. Still think bishop c5 is the best move here, but knight d3 is also possible. I have to start worrying a bit about knight takes f4 trickery. Get rid of this. I'm playing badly. Steaming! I missed that e4 is now hanging in lots of lines. That was terrible. Now I'm seriously worse, and I'm down on the clock. As I mentioned, this happens with the 3-minute games. Anyway, blah 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 excuses. I'm getting outplayed. Must focus and must start playing more quickly. Yup, getting crushed here. No chance, actually. Oh boy, when did I get so weak at chess? We're in for the whole spiral of self-hatred about to resume. Normally not a pleasant thing for anybody involved, except the viewers that strongly dislike me and like to see me suffer. I know we have many of those, but yeah, it's tough. Also, why are you so strong, Putro? When did you get so strong? No, but if you play terribly, it's much easier for your opponent to shine. What's this? You want to give a mercy perpetual? Nah. Is it my move? I can't even see when it's my move. Big champion of chess. Nothing to do if he's a big champion of chess. Draw. Very exciting game. I was totally lost, of course. Yeah, I just played badly. I still have a feeling that this should be favoring me, but then I started playing some terrible moves. Somewhere around here. Now maybe DE5 was already a bit too direct. I don't know. I don't understand these positions well. Is the honest truth. Knight E2 maybe? I'm not sure. I should look into it a bit more. Because I'm reasonably sure this should favor white one way or another. At least this line. But the way I played it, Putro just played a model game and deserved to win. Who's next to humiliate me? Mr. Kryspin? 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 Kryspunch? Crybaby? What is a Kryspin? Bothers me that I don't know. Let me look it up. Kryspin. Maybe it's nothing. It's some esport Hearthstone thingy. Let's hope not. I'm sure PS Fiddler would get all giggly about it then. Kryspin seems to be a schach thing. Maybe not. Maybe it's just his username. I don't know. We are playing a... What do I do? A6. What is this called? I believe people call it the Khan. I normally, if I end up here, end up playing the Taimanov Knight C6 instead of A6. But A6 is never fully out of fashion. Sometimes it falls a bit out of fashion. It recently wasn't as popular as it used to be because of the match Carlsen versus Anand, where Carlsen won a nice game with 5c4. But I believe people have been saying that things weren't as grim as they were considered to be in 5c4 and that this is a playable line. I've never seen this Kryspin maneuver a4, b4, knight e2, knight g3, but he's playing it with such conviction that I'm guessing it has been seen before, and it does look fairly logical actually. So, not against it. Bishop e3. I'm tempted to go h5 here. That's hard to do. Well, it's not hard to do, it's easy to do. The problem is he can take the pawn. I couldn't really make work. Normally, or often, it's a common idea against a knight on g3 to go h5, threatening h4. And if white goes h4, often the g4 square is more vulnerable, or the pawn on h4, than the black pawn on h5. So, long story short, if I get a chance to play h5, I'll probably do it. But that chance might never arise. Let's see what Kryspin does. He really doesn't want me to go h5. Breaking my heart. I have one wish in life, Kryspin, to push my pawn up the board. And you're fighting against that? It's very upsetting. What do? I'll move my queen somewhere. I can't restrain myself any longer, Kryspin. It's now or never. I thought if he takes bishop h5, g6, I could maybe checkmate him on h2, which would be very nice and pleasant. Cuddly. Well, if bishop takes, I haven't seen a checkmate, but I just had the feeling that with the half-open h-file and the pair of bishops after knight h5, knight h5, good things might happen. f3, saying my knight is a happy camper on h1. But of course I should punish him for that by targeting the h2 pawn as quickly as possible. I'm hoping for bishop f2 here. When bishop takes h2 would be checkmate. The problem is bishop f2 does not make a great deal of sense. So I have a feeling it's kind of unlikely. I'm very tempted to give this check for no particular reason, mainly because it makes the knight on h1 look dumb. No, I'll just keep dancing around these dark squares on the king's side and hope something pops up. Queen g3, unfortunately, not quite checkmate yet. So now I'm hoping for queen e1, queen g3, knight g3, hg checkmate. But once again, I am meeting the slight inconvenience that queen e1 makes 0 sense. So it's sort of a hard trap to fall into. Queen d2, so close, but no cigar. Okay, I'll issue an invitation to checkmate yourself in one move by exchanging your terrible knight on h1. Which, yeah, probably is an invitation that should be declined. However, we have to hope sometimes. Problem, once again, one of my many problems, is that after rook e1, there is no imminent punishment, is there? Or rook d1. I don't really see any. Particularly strong way to play. I'll take and go bishop g3 when at least the rook on h1 is done. But I'm not sure. Feels like I might have left some money on the table here. Not literally. Fortunately, there is no financial punishment for me playing terribly. But I feel like there should have been a bit more on the position when I had all these pieces up in his grill against the king on f1. Good news is I'm going to win on time no matter what happens. So all of this is not tremendously relevant, but still, it's nice to, break through. Not sure if this really was a breakthrough, but, gotta keep us entertained while we're counting down the last seconds. We did it! Good game, Kryspin. Actually, not such a good game. I'm not sure where it started going downhill. Up to here it looks normal-ish. Maybe castles asking for h5 was already risky. But here I have a feeling you should just take. Make me earn it. Because after f3, h4, knight h1, yeah, there's very direct issues on these dark squares after bishop d6, and things don't look that nice for black anymore. Let's play another one of chess games, I believe is the correct phrasing. What else can I tell you? Oh, I had a horrible thing happen to me last night when I got home here after all this Vikings got home here. No, I don't live here yet. I'm in the office now. When I got home after all the Vike commentary and doing my highlight video on Aronian versus Rapport. Nice game, by the way. Check that out. So I got home, just wanted to grab something to eat, go to sleep, because I was tired. It was like 10:30. And then I check out Netflix, as you do. And I found out there's a new series of Terrace House. And Terrace House is my kryptonite for getting anything productive done. For the very few people out there who haven't seen it, it's 6 Japanese or Japanese-speaking young people, normally either teenagers or people in their 20s, in a house, and they just film them everywhere. It's a weird reality show, it's Big Brother style, but I can't stop watching. I absolutely cannot stop watching. I've watched all 46 episodes of season 1, and now they have a new season based in Hawaii. So yeah, that ruined my plans to get any sleep or get anything productive done, answer any emails. And I'm not even done yet. Darn you, Terrace House. I've resisted all the beauties of reality TV for such a long time. I'm not watching any Survivor or Adam and Eve or whatever nonsense they have. Jungle Camp in Germany. I'm not watching any of those. But Terrace House, I don't know, does it for me. It's even weird that Terrace House is typically in Japanese, so I have to read the subtitles because I don't speak a word of Japanese, but I just can't stop watching. Let's play somebody else though, because isn't chess all our true passion? Bobo 419. What is 419? Isn't that a German rap group, 419ers? No, that's not. That's what I'm thinking about. I don't know why I said 419ers. It's 557er, 257er. 419 Eater. That's another one of my guilty pleasures, a website where I spent way more time than I should have. It's this guy that responds to spammers, like these emails you get. Hi, I'm a prince from country X and my relatives died in a car accident and they left me 30 million and you're their nearest relative. Please come to location X for a meeting so we can figure out how to get these 15 million, which we're gonna split. And anyway, the dude responds to these spam emails and makes the spammers jump through all kinds of hoops. It's highly recommended reading the 419eater.com. He makes people get tattoos or handwritten copies of all the Harry Potter books. It's very enjoyable. And I'm not sure if Bobo 419 is involved with any of those activities or if it's a coincidence, but yeah, I did enjoy 419eater.com a lot. This position I should also enjoy a lot. How do I get my pieces out? Bishop e2, short castles. As a rule of thumb in these Benoni structures, if you can play e takes d5 instead of c takes d5, and there's no direct punishment or direct activity, this normally does favor white because of the space advantage, and black doesn't have the built-in Benoni counterplay with a6, b5. Bishop g4 is correct before I go h3. You should get rid of this bishop, but even without the bishop, after knight b7, white tends to be a little better by just playing very slowly. Bishop e2, bishop d2. I don't know. a4, a5 is often a theme. And once all the pieces are out, you will go f4, maybe g4, start expanding on the king side. Make these bishops count. There's some instructive old games, like who used to win these endgames? Maybe Ullman had some nice victories in these endgames from other openings, but the same thing, rook a1, f4, and then they would grind out the win with the two bishops in the structure. Long story short, white is a bit better here. Bobo 419, where's he from? from Chile. I've never been to Chile. All our Spanish friends, Pepe Cuenca and Dibis, I think they just went to Chile to play a chess tournament. I've heard many good things about Chile. I want to go one day in the distant future. He goes knight h5, daring me to take. Do I want to take? Probably not in a hurry to, right? I'll go rook a1 first. Keeping the options of g4 followed by f4. Oh, I should pay some attention. I'm really playing badly. Because, yeah, obviously queen h4 is one big idea of going there. Knight e4, knight f4. Takes. Queen takes. And knight d6, knight f3 is not so clear. I would love to go knight e4 because it also threatens bishop g5 in addition to targeting the d6 pawn. But I can't see a clear-cut way after knight f4. Takes, g3, queen f5, unfortunately, pins my knight. And takes, knight d6 doesn't look so convincing. Knight f3 is very equalish then. What else can I do? Can I do anything? Celebrities, what do they know? Let's find out. I'll go here, but this is once again one of those. Didn't like my main line, so I just blitz out the first best move. Normally another sign of bad form. And let's not go down the spiral yet again. I don't know why my self-loathing becomes so strong during these Banter Blitzes when I don't play well. It's mainly this thought or this refusing to accept that I'm no longer really a chess player. I no longer spend any time for myself playing, even playing Blitz on the internet. So I probably got a lot weaker. But it's hard to accept that I'm not a strong Blitz player anymore. Because in the old days, oh my god, I sound like a 70-year-old man. The old days I was really, really good at Blitz. But I have a feeling I'm not anymore. Then there's also all the usual excuses. Yeah, Banter Blitz, no real Blitz. I'm also very, very focused on talking. Blah, blah, blah. I'm annoyed. And I shouldn't be annoyed. This is show business. This is entertainment. Trying to provide value for all you premium members out there by giving you a chance to play a Grandmaster and then hear him whine about it. Anyway, queen e4. I think the best you can do is probably to go either queen e7 or queen f6. You don't want to take because then after knight takes e4, d6 is en prise. Or so I thought you don't want to take, and tactics don't really work for you. And here something should happen. Let's see if I can calculate one line. f4, knight d7, knight d6, bishop d4, king h2 is no biggie. I'll start with f4. Let's see what happens. f5, fe, bishop h5, gh, even e6 looks kind of winning-ish. If he starts with knight d7, takes. Yeah, also looks good enough. b2 is hanging, but doesn't really matter. White's position, or black's position, should fall apart there. Takes knight g3. If takes here, he probably wants rook e2 and knight g3. No, that's bad too. But yeah, I'll just keep it simple. b2, as mentioned, does not really matter because, first of all, I can grab this guy, and secondly, it's not a key pawn holding my structure together. So yeah, this is more or less winning, I would say, with the extra pawn and the more active pieces. Some care is still required, as usual. But so far, so good. Already starting some mild bungling operations here, but I think I'm still golden because my d-pawn is just too strong. But I'm not sure I've handled this perfectly. No checkmate? I would like to checkmate you, Mr. Bobo 419, if you don't mind. If you mind, we can talk about everything. But if you don't mind at all, why not? Get checkmated. Seems like we did reach an agreement there. Thanks for the game, Bobo 419. Let's play somebody else. Oh, more star players here. I have a feeling I'm clicking randomly, but I have a feeling the crowd is stronger, or the opponents are stronger than usual today. And my usual speech, I want every premium member to have a chance. So I'm gonna search out somebody weaker on purpose for the next game. But in this one we'll play against Mr. Kristoff Helmer. Sounds very German. 2577, another chess superstar. All these strong chess players, where do they all come from? This bishop e7 move order, yeah, it goes in and out of popularity. CD, ED, bishop f4 is the main line there. I'm trying to confuse him a little bit by playing bishop f4, e3, and then rook c1, not knight f3, when everybody knows that theory after knight bd7 or c5. Rook c1, the best reply is supposed to be c5, but things can get quite tricky there after dc, bishop c5, knight f3, knight c6, a3. I think I had a game while back in the last round of, what was it again? Last round of the European Individual Championship, where I needed to win to qualify for the World Cup, and I played this line. I got very, very close. I forgot my opponent's name, but he ended up qualifying. I believe a 2600 player from Belarus, maybe? I forgot the name. I got very close. I got a nice advantage out of this line, but in the end, he defended better. Then I attacked, and it was a draw, which was a pity. Anyway, that's where I know this line from. I remember I prepared it for that game. Which year was that? Must be a while ago. 2009, maybe? Nah. I can't remember. Looks like Kristoff Helmer, however, is booked up to the eyeballs, blitzing out everything here. And I'm not that booked up. I think this is what they do, but I can't remember details. Bishop d4, knight b5, something like that. Why does everybody know everything? That's another beef I have with modern chess. Like, I'm supposed to be a theory expert, an old and retired theory expert, but still, why does everybody know all these sidelines inside out? I shouldn't criticize people for that. Normally I criticize them for not looking at chess, so I really shouldn't when they do. I've seen this position. It's somewhere way back in my head. I think e4 is what you're supposed to do. There was some sickness here, some rook e8, bishop takes f6, e4, some madness like that. Does that make sense? It does look vaguely familiar. I don't think a6 was the way to go, but we'll find out. Taking here seems logical. And do I go bishop e2 or do I take on f6? Bishop e2, bishop g4, bishop f6, bishop f3, bishop d8, bishop e2, king e2. I'm actually a bit better. Let's see. Bishop d3 was also possible, but I didn't want to deal with a check. Rook e8. Once again, I should do this little calculation. If I castle, bishop g4, queen g4, knight g4, bishop d8, rook e2 is okay for black. Castle, bishop g4, bishop f6, bishop f3, bishop d8, bishop e2 is also okay. So probably the time has come to take here. If gf, I'll castle, and if queen f6, I'll take and go king d2. Both seem to be slightly more pleasant for me. Not winning or anything, but, you know, hard to get a winning position out of the opening. This, at least, is an endgame. That is fairly pleasant. d4 is weak. b7 is a potential target. My king is active. So, yeah, things aren't too terrible. I think I can even exchange bishop on c6 and maintain all pluses of my position. Now, do I start with rook e1, or what do I start with? I'm not sure. King d3 also had a lot going for it. That's why I paused. Maybe I should have gone king d3. I'll do it now, then he at least has an unpleasant choice. If rook e8, I can think about takes, followed by bishop takes b7, rook b8, I mean, and bishop f5. I'm not blundering anything here. King d4, rook d8, bishop d5, worst case scenario. No, it's fine. And this was the worst case scenario. I guess it's also the best case scenario, but it's just good, so why complain? Black is not in time to oppose any problems here. After b5, I can just take on e5 twice. Rook e1 is fairly hopeless. So yeah, things are alright. I don't see anything better than rook e1, and whatever. Bishop e6, but it does look fairly hopeless. Let's say king c5. And yeah, Kristoff Helmer does resign. I believe the key moment here is this position, which is a theoretical position, where a6 just is not in time. I seem to recall that I've seen something like this. I'm not sure how this works, but it's somewhere stored in the back of my head. So it's possible this was an idea. And e4 immediately, I believe, is the main line. Anyway, thanks for the game, Kristoff Helmer. Next game against Mr. Talches from Switzerland. Looks like a young talented player, Anatol Toth. If that's you on your profile picture, what do I know? Is it time for the good old Trompovsky? You always need one Trompovsky reference in every show. Talches goes e6. I'll play e4. Normally, when this position appears in modern top-level chess, they don't go e4. They value the bishops too much. Instead, they play, e3 or knight d2. Something like that. But e4, at the very least, you gain some space in the center in return for your bishops. Still, I normally wouldn't do it either. It's a bishop, giving up a whole bishop. White's plan here typically does not involve knight f3. Instead, this knight goes to e2, and then you castle and go for a quick f4, maybe even followed by e5. But I do believe in the fundamental soundness of Black's position here, so I don't think this is a line that I would play on a regular basis, to put it mildly. Still, it's an interesting position. f5 or e5. e5 is more typical. f5 might have been good under these concrete circumstances, but it did not look like... Actually, it did look good. DE I'm not a big fan of, because that means a knight of mine appearing on e4 will not be so easy to challenge. So I think he should have gone queen e7 immediately, when knight e4 could have been met by d6 to d5. While here, this knight is pretty powerful. b3 or d3? Nah, I'll keep it here for now, hoping that there's gonna be some tactics against f7, e6. Not sure if that's realistic, but need some hope. Okay, if you're so motivated to get this bishop to this diagonal, your wish shall be granted, Mr. Talches. After a4, I shall retreat. Still like my position, but gotta find a way through. So far, Talches is hanging in there. Knight d6, bishop a6. My plan is not very subtle. Knight g6, fg, queen g6, and queen h7, checkmate. I'll be straight with you, Mr. Talches. That's what I want to do to you. What else can I tell you? This has to be taken too as well, right? I could still go knight g6, just to be annoying. Which normally I enjoy being. What else is new? Yeah, I haven't been doing much really. Like, I'm home alone. The rest of the gang went to Norway for a week because I'm just commentating Vike and doing highlight videos anyway. So apart from Vike highlight videos, Terrace House binge watching, not much going on these days. I did finish Westworld, most of it when Peter Svidler was still here. We watched it together. I liked it. It felt a bit like homework to get through the first 5-6 episodes, and it was a very passive viewing experience in a way. I wasn't really rooting for anybody, but I stuck with it and I enjoyed the final twists and turns and all that. So I think I can recommend it. It's clever stuff. But it's a bit of a grind to get through it. Just like this game is a bit of a grind for Talches, because I just took a bunch of his pieces. But sometimes that's not the end. Sometimes you can make a comeback. I learned that from Westworld. But yeah, this was one too many, and therefore Talches resigns. Here, White just has too many attackers backed up by the structure. So there's even h5, probably knight h5 wins too, but I thought this was cute. After fg, queen g6, there's no defense really to queen h7 and the other threats, but mainly queen h7. What time is it? Time for one more game, then we're done with today's show. I'll choose by clicking blindly to keep the complaints to a max. I'm gonna abort if it's a non-premium member. Those things sometimes happen. But if I hit somebody, I shall play him. It's hard to click on something. Are we playing a game? Oh yeah, there we are. It's Mr. Turmopfer. Another German? That sounds very German. Turmopfer, Rook Sacrifice. By all means, give me one of your rooks. That would provide new material for the book I'm working on. How to win a chess game, a rook up. Lawrence Trent has asked me to send him an advance copy, but it's not there yet. And no, I'm not really working on it. I'm playing the Grunfeld. Good old Grunfeld. Very tricky opening. And Turmopfer goes g3. This is a legal move, not the main move necessarily, especially in this move order. You don't see it that often because it allows black to be annoying. I should learn more synonyms for annoying. I feel like I'm overusing annoying, like obnoxious, be a pain, be a nuisance, to keep white on his feet. I don't know. dc4 is a problem for white in this move order because it's not so easy to get that pawn back. And after queen a4, this is sort of a typical Grunfeld theme to play this knight fd7, freeing this bishop to hit d4 and then to go to b6 without standing in the way. So here I want a pawn. I have to be a little cautious about knight b5 things, but they don't scare me all that much, just bishop e5. And after knight f3, in any ways lead to Rome. I could just keep this bishop. I could just take on c3. I'll take. Not sure about takes. That's another problem I have. I take one decision, and then instead of owning that decision, I sort of regret it the second I make it. Now I'm thinking, why did I give that bishop? Why not keep it? Why do I have to deal with bishop to a3? Why? Is that a Jadakiss song? Why? I think that's a Jadakiss thing from... Is that the 90s? Am I showing my age again? No, probably 2000s. I think it's from his solo records. One of my favorite rappers, Jadakiss. But I'm not sure if he's still around so much. I'll get some pieces out. If you want to exchange a bunch of things, Turmopfer, we can do so. Don't mind. Now he goes bishop a3. So aggressive. Everyone's aggressive. This bishop actually has a nice little square on c5. But I'm a pawn up. My horsey also has a nice little square. Not many squares. So once again, things aren't too terrible. Not sure if this is perfect play. Rook b1, not really carrying any threats, but I have to get my a-pawn out of the way so I can oppose with rook b8. And To Uper decides b-file access is more important than keeping my structure rotten, and he does take. It's a fairly defensible decision. Not gonna be easy to convert this with him controlling the only open file, but I'm still confident I'll be able to do it. Mainly on account of my, even though I keep bleeding rating, on account of my 1,000 extra rating points. Gotta be worth something, right? Then again, wise man once said, I have no idea who that wise man was, it's not enough to be a good player, you also have to play well. And I've been lacking on that play well front. Who said that? Educated people out there. Who said that? No clue. Is To Uper outplaying me as well in this double rook endgame? I have a feeling I don't want him to go e4. Not sure if that feeling is backed up by any data. I also have a feeling I don't have a plan. That feeling is backed up by my feeling. So g4 might have helped me to formulate a plan, because at least I can try to make some use of all of my rooks that I randomly put on the 4th rank. Here. Maybe here. Rook g4 might have been possible, but I didn't want to calculate the implications of rook g4, rook e7, king f5, rook f7. Actually, it didn't look that tempting. Well, now I'm kind of winning. My theory of the 1,000 extra rating points does seem to hold some water this time around. Very hard to keep the king on the 3rd rank, and if you have to put it on the 1st rank, it's always a bit of a nuisance that you have to deal with all these checkmate threats. And To Uper, without giving any of his rooks up, gets checkmated. Bad opening. After that, To Uper hung in there. Oh yeah, there's bishop g2, dc4. I think queen a4 is probably a mistake. You should go knight f3. But the move order went slightly wrong there for white. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks everybody for playing. Sorry for the glass in the way. Sorry for all my self-centered rambling. Then again, that's what I do on this program. I'm sure you're used to it. I'll be back tomorrow with Tata Steel chess commentary if you're watching this live. Else I'll be back on Friday the 27th with Tata Steel chess commentary. 3 more rounds to go together with everybody's boy, international master Lawrence Trent. We'll be talking about the last 3 rounds on chess24.com. So check that out. What else can I tell you? That's all I got. Thanks for Oh, we almost made it. And then bad throat trouble happened. Thanks for watching the show. And remember, now I don't even have a final line. Thanks for watching. Bye.